It's still May, but we're talking about Pride today, all right? We're coming up on June. Pride is creeping up on us. There's going to be celebrations, there's going to be events, and many people are looking forward to, being able to easily access some Pride-related merchandise, or at least some of us appreciate being able to go to the store and, feel accepted in our communities because there's a Pride section at the store. Whether or not you intend to buy anything, rainbow capitalism trying to trick you into spending your money on things that you don't want or need, always fun. But Target has been at the center of these discussions over the last couple of years. Because Target, as far as I can remember, they've been pretty far out there in terms of, we're declaring that we're trans safe and queer safe, like bathrooms. I remember, when the discussions about bathrooms were starting in 2016, Target was saying, yo, I'm going to, we're as a company going to support trans people using the bathroom that they identify with, maybe not regardless of state law, but state laws hadn't really started to pick up a lot of speed yet, state laws preventing people from using the correct bathroom. So this is what I remember. I remember Target being on it with trans rights. And they usually have, Pride displays in their store. They put up the signs with the rainbows on them and everything. You can buy a pillow in the shape of a rainbow, stuff like this. And last year, we covered that there were increasing, basically, terrorist activities toward targets, like bomb threats being called in, and people, some very mild destruction of property, where conservatives would film themselves knocking over signs and stomping on them that, they were pro-Pride signs in the stores. And there's been some difficulties figuring out, what is the correct way to address this, I guess, internally within Target, to the point where this year we're seeing some announcements that Target is possibly not going to have Pride stuff in their stores in June, or that they're scaling back. So this is an article from NPR. Target scales back on its LGBTQ+ merchandise ahead of Pride Month 2024. So I just want to make sure that you are understanding what this is. This is terrorism winning. If you do bomb threats, and then the institution that's having the bomb threats on them cows to those bomb threats, that's they don't even have to actually do anything. No one has to even actually put a bomb in the store. No one has to actually show up with a gun. Nobody has to actually do anything harmful. They can just say that they're going to do something harmful, and the company is like, oh, we're gonna dip. We're not gonna continue participating and supporting the queer community. They're targeting our kids. Yeah, classic. So let's get into this article by Jonathan Franklin. Let's see. Target says it will no longer sell its 2024 Pride Month collection in all of its stores, following last year's conservative backlash over the LGBTQ+ themed merchandise. The retail giant said in a press release last week that it plans to offer its collection of products to celebrate Pride Month, including adult clothing and home decor, during the month of June, both online and in, quote, select stores, depending on, quote, historical sales performance. So it may well be, if you live in a place where it's relatively liberal and the sales of these items are pretty high, then they might still have Target stuff, Target Pride stuff. But if you live in a conservative state, like I live in Kansas, and some parts of Kansas are pretty liberal and some parts are deeply conservative, maybe if you live in Kansas City, where things tend to be a little bit more liberal, your Target might have Pride stuff. But if you drive an hour south, you might be in somewhere that's more conservative, and if there's a Target there, they probably won't have this stuff. So they're not cutting back on it completely. They're not saying, nationwide, we're gonna not do this. But yeah, they're basically saying, if we suspect that these items in our stores are going to contribute to some kind of negative press or something, is a conservative gonna go in to a deeply liberal place in order to get pissed off about the Pride stuff in that liberal place? Ostensibly not, probably not. We'll see. In a statement to NPR, a spokesperson said, wow, A spokesperson for the retailer said it is committed to supporting the LGBTQ plus community not only during Pride Month, but year round. But what about the kids who live in those deeply conservative parts of the country? How do you think those people are going to feel about the fact that this corporation that has ostensibly supported trans rights and queer rights is now, you can't go to that Target. If you're a queer kid who lives in Tennessee or Alabama or something, you can't go to Target and get like a lamp that has a pride symbol of some kind on it, or like a pillow. What does that tell people in those deeply conservative areas about their acceptance in that area? What does it tell them about their future in that area, or about how valued they are in that area? It's not a good message. Still not a good message. Hey, you should like, comment, and subscribe. And you can hit up the Patreon or maybe buy one of these hoodies that I'm wearing because it's good merch. Do it. Do it for the cat. Do it. Quote, given these volatile circumstances, we are making adjustments to our plans, including removing items that have been at the center of the most significant confrontational behavior. So yeah, all you have to do is be confrontational, and this like multi-billion-dollar corporation will simply roll over and show you its belly. At the time of this statement, when asked which items were removed and whether security was being increased at its stores, Target did not respond to NPR's inquiry. I think this is really worth mentioning because in situations where folks are threatening violence on a business, let's just keep it within that. Why is this multinational company, like this multi-billion-dollar company, why are they not simply increasing security? Why are you going to remove these products from your stores rather than simply hiring a couple of security guards, or double checking that all of your cameras are working, or installing extra cameras, right? I think that there's been an excuse in the past, last year in particular, where they were like, oh, we want to make sure our employees are safe. Well, okay, stop like forcing your regular red shirt employees to deal with erratic, potentially violent people, and just hire private security. Give them a gun, give them the authority to remove people from the premises, give them the authority to permanently ban people from the premises. You don't just get to threaten people. You don't just get to, knock down signs and destroy property and accuse a company of grooming children by simply providing rainbow-themed stuff. And it's worth mentioning also that in this statement, it says like, oh, we're going to allow the adult stuff, like adult clothing and home goods, they're going to continue to allow. So they are, it seems like based on these statements, they're going to remove, including adult clothing and home decor. That's not a direct quote, but it seems like there had previously been, some like baby onesies that had rainbows on them and stuff like that, and that they're not going to be carrying those things anymore, like because of these accusations of grooming somehow, which is just, it's completely mangled. Grooming is actually, getting to know a child and their family and convincing them that you are a safe person, and then tricking them into like being in some kind of relationship that isn't appropriate, right? Like typically an adult coercing a younger person into a relationship of some kind. That's what grooming is, not just generally saying that it's like okay to be gay. Let's see here. News of Target's scaled-back efforts for Pride Month comes as the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security issued a warning on Friday that foreign terrorist organizations may potentially target LGBTQ+ events and venues during Pride Month in June. Is that from this year? Hold up. So they did this last year. The Department of Homeland Security issued a warning last year right before Pride. So it's the same thing happening this year. IC3.gov, I'm assuming that this is official. Going, okay, the FBI and DHS are issuing this public service announcement to provide, sorry if it's really small for you, let me make it bigger, to provide awareness to the public of foreign terrorist organizations or their supporters potentially targeting LGBTQIA+ related events and venues. Foreign terrorist organizations or supporters may seek to exploit increased gatherings associated with the upcoming June 2024 Pride Month. So I feel like this is the even bigger piece of news on top. Like, not only is Target saying, okay, because of things that have happened in our stores previously, we're not going to continue to serve this population of people, but the Department of Homeland Security and the Federal Bureau of Investigation have said, we are expecting more terrorism this month. FTO efforts to commit or inspire violence against holiday celebrations, including Pride celebrations, are compounded by the current heightened threat environment in the United States and other Western countries. These organizations have previously promoted anti-queer rhetoric and targeted queer-related events or venues. In February 23, English language ISIS messaging featured an article focused on anti-queer rhetoric. In June, so 12 June 24 marks the 8th anniversary of the Pulse nightclub shooting. Man, yeah, I forgot that was during Pride Month. In June 23, 3 alleged ISIS sympathizers were arrested for attempting to attack a pride parade in Vienna, Austria, using knives and a vehicle as part of the attack. Here's some possible indicators of potential threat activity, recommendations. So basically, the FBI, I'll read your donations in a second. The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security are saying, we are expecting a risk of increased terrorist activity, which is what I have been calling this for a while, like foreign terrorist organizations. And they keep saying, you know, ISIS, ISIS this, ISIS that, as though we're not dealing with domestic terrorism. Exactly. Thank you, Jenny. This is domestic terrorism. This is white nationalists. It's the same people who are showing up at protests like, you know, they're anti-mask and they're anti-Black Lives Matter and they're anti-Palestine and they're anti-queer. Like it's the same people showing up to all these different places. And like, okay, yeah, I acknowledge that ISIS and ISIS sympathizers might be part of this problem, particularly on the national level, or on the international level. But I feel like it's an egregious oversight to not mention that this is primarily, we live in the United States, primarily our problem is domestic terrorism. It's American citizens threatening other American citizens and using terror to restrict their rights. Real quick. So I just want to point out that this is illegal under 42 U.S. Code 1985, conspiracy to interfere with civil rights. So if you are attempting to prevent by force, intimidation, or threat any person from holding office, like if you are attempting to deprive persons of rights or privileges, if you're trying to deprive either directly or indirectly any person or class of persons of the equal protection of the laws or of equal privileges and immunities under the laws, or for the purpose of preventing or hindering the constituted authorities of any state or territory from giving or securing to all persons within state or territory the equal protection of the laws, if you are trying to conspire to prevent by force, intimidation, or threat any citizen from voting, this is not legal. If you're using terror to prevent people from exercising their civil rights, that is not permitted. But like, we're just kind of cowing to this, you know? Like, we're pretty consistently not pursuing white supremacists. Proud Boys keep showing up to these libraries, threatening people, or like at least standing around menacingly saying, you know, you're not going to do this around our kids. And it's like, first of all, which of these kids are yours? And like, second of all, it's not legal what you're doing. The KKK is illegal under this purview because the KKK used to show up in their hoods and basically try to intimidate Black people from participating in public life, whether that's voting, whether that's getting married, whether that's being a teacher. Like, this is egregious, not cool thing to do. And like, U.S. Code 1985 is slightly different to the First Amendment because the First Amendment is like, the government has to protect your right to do these things. The government is not allowed to prevent you from gathering or freedom of speech or protesting or freedom of expression. But it is also illegal for citizens to do these things, to intimidate or threaten people, to send bomb threats, you know? Like, what? So again, why is the response to this to say, yeah, we're going to cow to that and not host like rainbow themed stuff during June? Why aren't the police available? You know, like I went for a drive recently and there were a bunch of cops like just posted up at random places catching people in speed traps. Like, why don't you hire some of those useless people to stand around in your Target and they'll actually be doing something worthwhile by protecting the premises. What a concept. So basically, not only is like we have this main story tonight of Target, but we also need to be aware that there's a pretty significant possibility that we'll see broader terror activity in the United States and abroad. But like primarily I'm focused on, terrorism in this country. 8 years anniversary since the Pulse shooting. We had the Club Q massacre a couple years ago, Oh, of course, yeah, I know it's because the police are on the side of bigotry. I'm just saying that they, you could ostensibly have the veneer of security, the impression of increased security. And at the very minimum, the police don't have to disagree with the bigotry in order to enforce trespassing laws. Because if an employee asks you to leave, there should be a threat of force forcing you to leave if you're being disruptive and trying to use intimidation tactics to scare Target employees. Yeah, true. Traffic tickets make money, protecting and serving does not. I mean, yeah, and let's not even talk about the fact that rainbows are supposed to be a gift from God. Like when I was in Sunday school as a young lad, rainbows were a symbol of like the end of the flood. Rainbows are supposed to be a symbol of God, and like children love rainbows. Children just absolutely go apeshit over rainbows for some reason, even outside the context of having anything to do with God. And frankly, I think Target should be able to sell onesies that say things like, I love my two mommies. What is the problem with that? How is it grooming? I guess it's grooming for two lesbians to have a kid, So as we enter Pride Month, be on the lookout. There's a petition going around saying, hey, Target, can you please still host Pride stuff in your stores? And you can sign if you want to. I don't know that that's going to make any difference. But yeah, just be aware if you shop at Target or if you go to any other Pride-related event during the month of June that there is a good chance that there will be terrorist activity and that you will have to, first of all, you should be wearing a respirator in public anyway, so you may have to cover your face to hide your identity. You might need to make sure that your children are not going to places where you suspect, and that's the thing that sucks is, because the police are on the side of the Proud Boys, repeatedly we've seen, white supremacist violence, anti-queer violence, and the police just kind of letting it happen. It's unfortunate that, yeah, part of the calculation that you have to make is, will I be safe going here? This is terrorism in action. Terrorism wins to an extent when we stop gathering and doing things because we're afraid these things will happen. But at the same time, I am not going to expect marginalized individuals to go to places where they think they might be unsafe. Like, I would not go to a gay bar, probably because I suspect that there's a chance that there could be a shooting there. It's happened twice in the last 10 years where there has been a mass shooting at a gay bar. No children there. No children gonna be there. You can't justify it even if there were gonna be children there, but I'm just saying, the excuse that they keep making is, oh, we need to protect our children. Okay, well, why are you killing people who are 21 and up then? So, yep, maintain your situational awareness. Keep your eyes up. Keep them peeled. Stay safe out there, y'all. Donations. Thank you so much, y'all. Jackie gave another $8 dono saying, remember that Target employee totally owning Ethan Schmidt loser? She's amazing. I don't know if I remember that in particular, but I do remember Ethan Schmidt and the fact that he's a loser. Thank you, Kitty Tick, for 2 gifted tier 1 subs, saying, just wanted to send a little something. Maternity leave money finally arrived. At least in Oregon, you can both choose not to have a baby and receive job protection. Cool, yeah, because I know that generally the job protection does not extend to the non-gestational parent. So that's cool, and thank you. That's another $18 added to the goal, which brings us up to $33. I can do math. Appreciate y'all. And now I'm going to add this to my stream notes, and that's going to be a good little segment for the show today. A little seggy seg. What is today? 5/19/2024? Target, FBI, DHS. No. Let me do a copy pasta. Okay, thank you. Okay. We did it. Ugh. Living in an open carry state, I will be carrying protection. Yeah. I'm not gonna, encourage anyone to get a gun if you don't already have one and if you don't feel confident using it. But, I carry pepper spray, and I'm prepared to use it. I wasn't expecting that DHS part. I guess it makes sense because it happened last year, but Nap time. Robot has left the chat. Good night, Robot. Enjoy. Gotta drink more water. We're hitting that 2-hour mark in the show. We might only go like 3 hours today. And then I want to chill a bit this afternoon because I've had a rough week, y'all. It's been a rough week. Doing my best. Trying to make it work. But man, these times are hard. Coin Silver says, go homebrew. Make your own dyes. Make your own flags without commercialization. That's probably fair. You know, before rainbow capitalism became a thing, it was the case that, you know, we would have to make our own pride gear. We would have to, I mean, we would make our own binders. We would make our own packers. Like, the fact that a bunch of primarily cisgender-owned companies are profiting off of, like, the needs of queer people and trans people, it's actually not great. I don't typically buy stuff that's just rainbows because it has rainbows on it, you know? But, yeah. It's nice. You know, it is an indicator of more acceptance in society when you're seeing a pride display at the store. And yes, it feels performative because it is, because obviously when they get the tiniest bit of pushback, their support ends. But there is something to be said for all the little kids and the teenagers out there, the young adults who know that they're queer, know that they're trans, and want to believe that there is a place for them in this world. Like, we need queer kids to believe that there's a place for them in this world because that's suicide prevention, you know? Thank you so much to all of my patrons, especially Tiago Nascimento, Mersh Rolvag, Michelle Frateroli, Amanda B., Michelle Winter, Wellington Marcus, Danielle McDonald, DZXN, Suzanne Maynard, Spooky Heather Sylvia, Ella V. Nobody, Pastel Infinity, Jamie Jam, Nova, Sojo, Elizabeth Bartell, Kevin Young, Athiette, Celeste, Desi Quiche, Liam Hodgson, Mr. Atheist, and Jack.